Hello everyone, and welcome to lesson number 6 on presentation skills for mental wealth. This session we're going to focus on how to improve your presentation skills and why presentation skills are very important skills you're going to need. You're going to need presentation for job interviews. You are going to be required for many of the job interviews to present what you've been doing, what's your interest. This could be done face-to-face or online. You will be required while you're studying with us to do several presentations. In fact, some of you in term 1 were doing presentations, and on this module also you have to do presentation. But even if you go and get a job, many times whenever they're doing promotions, whenever they're actually looking for someone to take a new position, they're going to ask you, come and do a presentation as to why you think you're suitable to do a presentation. And beyond these 3 reasons that you would be very interested to learn about presentation, also keep in mind that presentation is a self-building skill. It helps you build your confidence and you conquer your fear. So these are 2 very important skills that you can do. And no one is born as a presenter. You learn and you train to become a good presenter. So around 20 years ago, yes, I know I've been around for a while, I was asked to teach a module called Professional and Academic Skills. And one of the key skills I was asked to do is teach students how to do presentation. Every program we have here at the university, they ask you to ask the students to do presentation skills. And I was doing like everyone else. I would come to a lecture and say, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that, and it didn't work. Because as much as I tell them, keep an eye contact, rehearse, do this, it's just the students will forget it and come to the presentation, present exactly like they did before. Maybe 1 or 2 will improve, but the majority will not improve by just telling them what to do. So I was getting frustrated because this is a very important skill. Then I was watching a documentary about acting. And I thought to myself, you know what? Presentation is acting. You don't go out to your friend and say, hello, today I'm going to tell you what I've been doing. No, this is not the normal way of talking. There's a lot of acting involved in presenting. So how do actors learn? There's 2 things that actors learn. They learn by recording themselves and then looking back and see how they acted. So if they have a scene where they have to look sad and emotional and stuff like that, they can't tell if they're doing it correctly. They record it and then look back and see how did they act. Or they will have a coach who will tell them, who will be watching them and say, do this and do that. Yeah? Now, this is tricky because when I thought of recording you presenting, it made the students even more nervous and they were presenting even worse. And also to know that I'm going to be criticizing your presentation did not help. So I thought to myself, what other alternative do we have? And I thought, how about I show you how to present, how not to present. So I'll present some of the common mistakes you do. By watching me presenting badly, the way students present badly, you're going to learn how to avoid these things. Can you see how that works? And when I did that about 15 years ago, and I presented how students present, it was amazing. Students came and presented a lot better. And suddenly they were not doing the mistakes that other students were doing. In fact, second-year module leaders were contacting me by email saying, Fadi, the students present a lot better than any year before. What did you do? And I said, I changed my style. I now no longer teach them how to present, but I teach them how not to present. And then they can present better. And today I'm going to present to you the 9 most common problems that students do in their presentation. I have to tell you from now, it is one of the hardest presentations I ever have to do. Because I have to undo years of practicing on how to present in order to show you how not to present, if that makes sense. And my presentation is going to be funny. And you're going to laugh, and please laugh. But also, while I'm presenting, write some notes. You could put that on your phone or write on a paper. Okay, next time I'm not going to do this. Okay? And that's a very important way of how you learn how to present. And every time I'm going to make a mistake, I'm going to show you how it should be done. All right? Are we good? Okay. So, as I said, I'm going to present 9 problems, and each of them is a little bit trickier than the other, and so much so that I have to prepare myself before every presentation. All right, so I'm going to start with the most common mistakes the students do when they present. And this is mistake number 1. Hello, everyone. Today I'm going to talk to you about security. Security is very important for organization and personal content. It is important for our privacy, and companies invest a significant amount of money, and it costs organization a lot of money to protect our privacy. Now, only in the year 2000s that we started investing in security, and we started taking it seriously. So they did several research, and researchers have found that hackers do it for a variety of reasons, but the main reason they do this is because they are doing it for financial gain or to impress us. What's the problem? Raise your hand if you have an answer. What do you think the problem with this presentation? Yeah. Looking down. Eye contact. I'm not looking at you. I'm not looking at you. Looking at your audience is very important. It shows confidence, right? Did I look very confident there in my presenting? No, I did not look confident at all. But other things about my presentation, what did you else notice? Yes? Yes. Body language, looking like, I don't want to be here. You get students who do this. I mean, seriously, the ones who go like this in the presentation. Very, very annoying, yeah? And then the ones who are doing this, it's all nervousness. But eye contact is probably the most important element there. Okay, so the problem is body language, including eye contact. Eye contact is very important aspect of any presentation. Then you have the hand movement, the leg movement, looking outside, looking at the laptop, looking at the wall. You have the ones that they think they're looking at you, but they do this. You know? They don't want to look, but they're pretending they're doing eye contact. It's not eye contact. You have to look at people's eyes while you're presenting to show I'm talking to you. So looking nowhere, there's the hand movements and the leg movements. Now, it's okay to walk around. It's not okay to do a repetitive actions that show you're nervous. And also hands in the pocket. That's always a sign of nervousness. Yeah? So it's like, I don't know what to do with my hands. Move your hands. Be a little bit more flexible. That's all right. So all these are signs of lack of confidence. It takes a little bit of training to do that. And powerful presentations, we've learned from powerful presentations, like Martin Luther King, when he said, I have a dream. He was looking at 1 million people. It wouldn't have had not the same effect if there was 1 million people there and he went, I have a dream. Like, where are you looking? Right? The Clintons, they do really good presentations. Obama does very good presentations, and they always look at the audience. And even as we move now more and more for online presentations, you have to maintain eye contact. And I noticed that when I was preparing my recording. So you've all been watching my recordings, right? Do you notice that I'm always looking straight at you? Did you notice that? Because when we went into lockdown, I did the first recording, the camera was there, and I was looking at the slide and all my recording, like, and now today I'm going to teach you web design. And then I looked back and said, where is that contact with the students? So even if you are being invited for an interview online, look at the camera. It shows that you're looking at your audience. And it was very hard to look at the camera because this is what the camera looked like. And you're looking at the camera. Hi, today I have an interview. So I've had to put an emoji sticker. So I smile as well. So anytime you're seeing my recording and I'm smiling, I'm actually looking at the emoji. Hey, hi. Today I'm going to teach you web design. And you need to do something the same. If you have an online interview, put a sticker there so that they can see you're contacting, you're doing the eye contact. Rather than looking on the slides and looking out and looking down, because many times the camera up there and you're looking, yeah, I have the skills, but where are you looking? So eye contact, very important, right? Okay, are we ready for problem number 2? Okay. Oh yeah, this is a common mistake with students' presentation. And it goes something like this. It tends to be something like this. Okay, so pay attention. Yes. There's an element where I'm speaking too quickly because I want to get out of here. Yes. You can't hear me. And it's not the same with presentation. You have to project. You have to be loud. What else? Lack of movement, yeah? Being robotic. There's another word for that. What is it? It is robotic. Movement, yeah? Monotonous. Very good. Boring and monotonous. When you're doing a presentation, you have to project. Security. Security is very important for organizations. Tell them you're there to show them that this is very important for you. You're not just coming to do a presentation. I'm really a good student. I'm good at not repeat, talk it like you've memorized it by heart, which what students tend to do. So the problem number 2 was voice. Yes, it was low, cannot be heard. It's monotonous and boring. Also, if you notice something with the slide, there was no picture. Sometimes adding a picture makes it more interesting. And it did feel like I'm talking to myself. So when you're doing a presentation, you have to project. You have to raise and lower your voice so that people, I'm sure you sat through lectures where the teacher goes, and today I'm going to talk to you about this and blah, 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 blah. And you're like, ooh, I'm going to sleep. Can I have a recording? It'll help me sleep at night, right? And this is a problem. You have to project. You have to move. You have to add some entertainment to your slide. But your voice is a very important part of that presentation. Clear? Any questions about problem number 2? So raise your voice. And don't worry. No one's going to say you're too loud. When was the last time you were in a lecture and thought he or she were very too loud? No. The louder, the better. It keeps people awake. All right. So that's problem number 2. And also add an image, yeah? It always projects something. In this case, it was boring. Problem number 3 is a very, very common problem. Are we ready? Are we getting excited now? How many of you have walked into a lecture or done a presentation that goes like this? Hello everyone, I'm going to talk to you about security. In 2002, several computer companies realized the need for designing system security policy. The intention was to develop a clear strategy that would tackle all sorts of problems. It starts by looking at the physical threats such as fire, earthquake, floods, and burglary. The solution is to devise a plan that the management and the employee are asked to get involved in. This would be by training management on performing periodical backups, This would work by performing a full electronic backup or printout of everything in the system, also to train managers on doing periodical checkups or to the system against possible threats such as, what's the problem here? I'm reading from the slide. Why is it a problem that I'm just really reading from the slide? I did look, I did keep looking, but it's hard to look when you're reading, right? But still, pardon? Doesn't sound natural. Yes, yes. Because this is a presentation. It's not, oh, you do not know how to read. I read for you. I read for you. Yeah? I'm not here to read for you. I'm here to do a presentation. Presentation is not to stand there. How many of you said, oh, just give me the slides, I'll read it at home? How many of you are thinking, just give me the slides? Why are you sitting reading it? I know how to read. And this happens with us when I'm assessing your presentation. You come in, students come in, and they start doing this. And I'm like, why are you doing this? Why are you reading from the slides? Give me the slides, I'll read it. The point is, you're here to present. And presentation is not reading. So what you need to do is use bullet points. And in the bullet points, you don't read, rather you explain and expand. And note here that the notes here are to guide you, not to read from them everything that gives you. And also notice that I was presenting a research, but I didn't reference the source. This is clearly something done in 2002. Who told you this? You need to cite your sources. Okay? So this is how this presentation should have been. It should have been like this, with a proper title. Mitigating risks. It says, in the early 2000s, companies started taking security policy very seriously. Simon, 2002. I'm citing the source. The first thing they looked at is physical threats, such as fire, earthquakes, floods, and burglaries. The solution he proposed for this is to have backups. Yeah, so have backup, be that electronic backup or printout of the system, as well as training the managers to deal with these issues. Isn't this better? By the way, this is exactly what I read in the slide earlier. How many of you understood this and didn't even pay attention to the first one? Didn't even realize this was in the first one? So you do not read from the slides. You don't put everything on the slides. You summarize them into bullet points, and you can elaborate and expand and explain. Did we get this problem? Very good. This was problem number 3. Now we go to problem number 4. Yeah. It's similar to problem number 1 in a way. All right. So this is problem number 4. Not drinking the water now. All right. So we get students who come and do this. Hi, everyone. Today I'm going to talk to you about security. Security is the protection of personal and organizational content, and it protects our privacy. It costs organization a lot of money. We've known since 2002 that companies have started taking security much more seriously to investigate better ways of improving our security. Therefore, hackers have been surveyed, and in the survey, hackers said they have a variety of interests, including financial gain, and in some cases, it was surprising to realize that they're there just to impress us. Thank you. What's the problem with this presentation? Yes? Reading from the paper. Why is it a problem reading from the paper? Pardon? Unprofessional. But also it's like I'm holding this paper as a protection, isn't it? There's a gap, it's like it also shows lack of confidence. Many times your presentation is only 2 minutes, 3 minutes. You can't memorize 2-3 minutes of what you're going to talk. You could use cards if you wish. you know, cards, just to remind yourself, but do not use them to read them. Just to remind you what's coming next. That's what I keep going there to check my cards. I printed the cards on that paper to know what I'm doing next. Okay, so the problem is, reading from a paper is not professional. You don't see speeches. I mean, go back to this idea of Martin Luther King holding a paper and saying, I have a dream. Not the same. Where's the passion there? Or Obama going to Middle East, I have a new American policy for the Middle East. Like, not professional to read from a paper. Okay? So again, a little bit of training, you can get that. A little bit of rehearsing, you can get there. So you can use cards to remind you what's coming next. But you do not read from them. Other extreme aspect, which is hard sometimes to act, is sticking to the same slide forever. You get sometimes a student who, they have a 2 or 3 minutes presentation and they have only 1 or 2 slides. You have to move on. You can't stay in the same slide for a very long time. It's hard to, and also time sharing when you're working in a group. Always make sure everyone has enough time to do their presentation. All right, we get to problem number 5. Oh yeah, let's see this. You get overly confident students coming to a presentation going like this. Hello, today I'm going to talk to you about variety of security linked to Adobe. And there's been lots of experiments there. The first experiment was using SSL, which is secure socket layers. And then they introduced SSL3 as another way, an improved way of improving connectivity. Then they used the SVCL approach for security, which added more layer of protection. And then they produced the QSAL approach, and then the QIXL. And they go on and on and on. What's the problem? Getting stuck between the words. Lots of information. I'm not really explaining them. I'm just trying to patronize you almost. Like, look how many things I know and you don't know. Right? Look how many things I know. And students sometimes do that because they want to show that, oh, look how much I researched. But you're not explaining them, and I don't know what they mean. So know your audience. Understand your audience. And sometimes we lecturers don't know what you've researched, what you have discovered. We don't know everything in the world. So you need to explain some of these terms. Did you understand anything? Of course you didn't. You knew that there's something to do with security, but beyond that you didn't know what's going on. Abbreviations are no good if they're not explained. Explain difficult or unfamiliar words in order for people to understand what you're talking about. Any questions so far? Okay, this is a tricky one. Sorry. And this is what you get with some students' presentation. Again, a bit too much confidence in there, but keep in mind as well the structure. All right, here we go. Problem number 6. Hi everyone, I'm going to talk to you today about security. Security is for the protection of personal and organizational content. And of course, organizations are very interested to make sure their content is well saved and protected, because otherwise it costs them a lot of money. And this reminds me of an example by CD World. CD World was one of the first companies to be hacked online. And they stole lots of details from the company, so much so that the company couldn't recover and completely bankrupt. That's why you can't find them online anymore. And therefore, it no longer exists. So now companies invest a significant amount of money in making sure they keep the system protected. Which reminds me of another case study, which is Swiss Bank. Swiss Bank was hacked back in 1999. In fact, it was the first company to be hacked before CD World. And this is an interesting thing. The people who stole like just £500,000, but the bank made the silly mistake of announcing that they got hacked and announcing that these people stole $500,000. The investors were so nervous, they took the money out. The bank lost 250 million pounds. So now banks know when they get hacked not to talk about it. And that's why we don't hear about it anymore. The hacking is happening all the time, would you believe it? Anyway, so research back in 2002 started realizing that we need to improve our security in a number of ways. And yeah. Okay, so when they asked hackers, of course, it depends what hackers they asked, they said financial gain is the main reason. But, I mean, who would have thought? Some of them just do it to impress us, right? It's just, okay. What's the problem? Yeah. Too many stories, which is what's, and also I made a mistake with these stories. Yes, there's more information than the slide, but that's not always a problem. But it's the structure. Overconfidence as well, but also lack of enough rehearsing. The message is not going in line, which is lack of rehearsing. Okay? And sometimes when they're laughing too much and making it too casual, it's also lack of confidence because they did not rehearse it enough. They tried to compensate with that. Okay? So here's the problem we have, is rehearsing. If I've rehearsed this enough, I would not make all these mistakes. Okay? So if I've rehearsed it enough, I wouldn't make all these mistakes. I'll know exactly when to put my examples. Also, I won't be repeating myself. If you notice, I repeat myself. I went back to which is the first company to be able to be hacked. Initially, I said the CD World, and then went back and said, no, it's actually Swiss Bank. That's what happens when you're not rehearsed. You do not know what you're talking about. And people stop believing what you're saying. They think you're blabbing. So not remembering what to say, not presenting, it's a form of talking. Like I'm talking to my friend. Oh, and do you know Swiss Bank got hacked, blah, blah, blah. That's like talking to your friend. That's not a presentation. Presentation is well rehearsed, well practiced, and you come in and you deliver, and you know it's acting. Yeah. So it's an element of acting. It's not as you go. All right. Any questions so far? It's going to get a little bit more interesting now. Okay. This one I'm not going to talk too much because you're going to spot very quickly the problem. Hi, everyone. Today I'm going to talk to you about security. It's problem number 7, and it is about security. Security by Fadi Safieddine. And what is the problem with security? Security is important to protect the company. It's there to protect our privacy. It costs companies a lot of money. And hackers do it only to impress us. What's the problem here? Too many animations. That's it. It's one single issue. How many of you are actually looking at me rather than looking at the slides at this point? Right? You're not looking at me. Oh, what's happening? Oh, what's flying here? What's flying there? It's like someone discovered how to use PowerPoint animation. It's like, oh, I'll try this, and I'll try this, and I'll try this, and I'll try this. It becomes a movie. So you're no longer actually watching. You need popcorn to enjoy the movie. Don't overdo the animation. Don't overdo the animation. Have some animation, but not too much. That's a little bit also too much because then they can read everything you're going to talk about from the slide the moment you open your slide. So have something where it comes in. Don't overdo it. Remember the objective of a presentation, and you have 3 objectives in your presentation. 1 is to inform, tell them about something. 2, to persuade them to buy whatever you're trying to sell. Give me a good grade. This is important for you. And 3rd is a little bit of entertainment. Lectures that don't have entertainments become very boring. Presentations. but don't overdo the entertainment element. So it's a balance of those three, and I'm going to talk about them at the end of the presentation today. Animation is an element of entertainment that you can add, but don't overdo it. Any questions so far? So we're getting close to the end. Problem number 8. This one I added recently. So you get students who do a presentation that goes like this. Hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk to you about mitigating risk and the steps for risk management. The steps of risk management start with identification, then analysis of risks, and we could have different ways of analysis of risks, such as qualitative and quantitative, then planning of measurements, then monitoring and control, and all this relies on good communication system in place in order to be able to have this risk management working. Not having good communication in place will result with risk management failing. So communication is very important to connect all these steps together. What's the issue here? Yes. Too quick. Maybe it's me making it a bit quick, but it's not about the quick. Yes. Maybe spread it over different slides. That could be a point. What I was explaining there, I know it's a tricky one. How many of you remember the steps? You remember the steps? Mm-hmm. Well, that could be a way, but also, here's the issue. It's called death by PowerPoint. Okay? Death by PowerPoint. Whenever you have a process, and why do you present it in bullet points? Represent it in a diagram. It breaks the monotony of the slides. So you're right in the sense that these points are important, but what you couldn't visualize is how these steps work. So let me show you this way, if this you can remember it this way. So if we have a diagram like this, and I say, today I'm going to talk to you about risk management. Risk management starts with identification of what risks we have, and then analyzing the different risks we have, including qualitative and quantitative. Then planning how we're going to measure these risks, and monitoring and controlling this risk. And for this to work, we have to have good communication all around. Now, would you remember this a lot better? So what was missing is sometimes if you can represent it in a diagram, especially if it's steps, and many of you will need that for your proposal, showing how you're going to do the project, maybe consider creating a steps for it. A diagram that shows how you're going to do this. Clear? And then your slides become text, diagram, images, text. It breaks the monotony of your slides. Any questions? Very good. All right. So now I'm going to get to the last bit. And it is something that has a huge impact. But for me, I have to come in and show you how it works. So wait for a second there. Don't make noise. And give me a second to get ready. It's going to take me a minute or two. Are you ready? Sometimes students come in doing this. I need to talk to you about security. Security is very important for organizations. And organizations need that to protect themselves. Oh, the camera is not on me. Hold on. Let's get the camera. Otherwise, this is not going to go up in the recording. Yeah, camera, follow me. It's probably thinking this can't be a lecturer. Security is very important. What's the problem here? I look too smart. Even with this? What's the problem? What's the problem? You come into a presenting, you're dressing comfortably. What's the problem? Why do you find it funny? Let's see. Wrong place, yes. Dressing is a problem. Why is it a problem? I need to get to the point as to why is it a problem. Why you think? Now you can't focus on the slides. You're looking more at me than the slides. Not looking professional. The word you're looking for is not dressed for the occasion. Okay, there's time to dress like this when you're going down the gym. And there's time you don't dress like this when you come to a presentation. Okay? So the problem here is dress code. It tells your teachers a lot when you show up dressed for the occasion. Without you opening your mouth, immediately say, this student's prepared. Which one of these do you think is the dress code for a presentation? Second and third? Second or third? Well, for university presentation, it's this one, just the third one. This one is going to the beach. This one, you've come with a work clothes. And this one is very casual. Now, why is it a problem? Because it shows to the teachers or whoever you're presenting is that you came this morning and you said, oh, we have a presentation. Oh, damn, okay, give me. I'll do my bit, yeah? That's how it looks. That's how it looks. And you'll be surprised when students presenting. I've had students, I have it with me here in the bag. I had a student come into my presentation. I had to go and find it on Amazon. Wearing this, cocaine and caviar. And I'm like, why are you dressed like a drug dealer to your presentation? Last year I had a student wearing a cat with a dagger and blood in it. It's very, very inappropriate. So again, think of what you're wearing, because when you're presenting, you're standing in front of everyone and they're going to see you. It's not hard to see what you need to wear. Okay? What about female students? What should they wear? This one? No. By the way, this one, that's like going to a wedding. The same with the male one. That's like a wedding gown. Well, with the female ones, you have more flexibility. So I think any of these two are appropriate. Okay? Any of those two are appropriate. This one a little bit too professional. And also, you don't need a skirt for a presentation. Okay? Just professional, that's more than enough. And why is it important that you dress like this? Is because, again, it projects to the tutors that you have come prepared. You rehearsed, but also it gives you confidence from the start that the teacher, from the minute they're going to look at me, they're going to say, this student is prepared. Before you open your mouth. And that's why dressed for the occasion is very important. Okay? So, how to prepare for your presentation. Now you know the problems, how to prepare for them. Have some cards. I have them there in the printout. For me, it tells me what I'm doing in every presentation, which ones I'm doing contact. And I don't read from them. They might remind me of examples. They might remind me what I have to do. One of the things you might want to put on your cards from the beginning is a big smiley face to remind you to smile. Because when you're nervous, you forget to smile. So rather than say, today I'm going to talk to you about security, you start, hello everyone, today I'm going to talk to you about security. Yeah, it shows positive projection. So emphasize smile at the start of the lecture, notes on the content as well as delivery. You point out examples that you want to focus on, but not to read from it as a reference, and point out to use these, never to use these at a reading point. Okay? How to prepare for your presentations. I'm not used to this. Wow. Sorry. So presentations. You have to build your presentation with 3 elements. Persuasive. Tell them why it's important. Did you notice in most of my lectures I always start with, this is important for your assignment? This is important for your career. Even the presentation today, what did I start with? Presentation skills, you're going to need them for job interviews. You need to persuade people why they want to listen. Then informative, then a little bit entertaining to break the monotony. Now, some students go a little bit too far with that. It has to be 20% persuasive, 70% informative, 10% entertaining, not too much, yeah? So you notice with me, I always start my lectures in a structured way to make it more interactive, make you engage, so that that's the persuasive element. But don't go too far with entertaining. A few years ago, a student watched the lesson, this one, and came to the presentation and said, knock, knock, who's there? I was like, this is not stand-up comedy. Okay, so don't go too much with the entertaining. How to practice? Now, I told you from the start, no one is born as a presenter. No one. So, you need to rehearse in front of a mirror. Did you hear that? Some of you are not hearing this. You need to rehearse in front of the mirror, and you have to look at your eyes when you're rehearsing. It's very difficult. The first time you're going to do it, you're going to feel really weird. Like I'm looking at myself and saying security. Security is very important for organization. It's weird. You're looking at your eyes. But once you master that, then you have no problem looking at people's eyes. And always move. You know, if the lecturer is grading you, which there would be, the tutors, don't keep looking at them for the whole hour. Make them a little bit uncomfortable, right? You're feeling uncomfortable now. Yes. You don't keep looking at them. You look around at your friends as well. So rehearse that. Once you practice in front of the mirror and rehearse it, you master it. That's one. Two, build your confidence through meditation. What does that mean? That the child inside you wants to run away. It's called the subconscious. The subconscious mind inside you does not want to be in the situation where you're presenting in front of other people. That's normal. So what you need to do is do a bit of meditation the night before, and you only focus on the last part of the presentation. You don't do the whole thing in your head, that's too much. You just think of the last thing and you said, thank you very much, and everyone claps. And we're going to be telling the instructors to always ask everyone to clap because you're learning. Okay? By focusing on the last part and convincing yourself whatever the presentation is going to be, at the end they're going to clap, you become less nervous. And then you calm yourself. If you do it on the day, it's too late. It has to be the night before because that's when you're tired, you're going to sleep, your subconscious is ready to receive messages. That's why we dream. Okay? That's when we tend to dream. So you do a bit of meditation. Again, this is scientifically proven that it works by focusing on the very last part of the presentation, just imagining you said thank you and everyone clapped. Okay? That's one. Also, you may forget or pose. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal to forget and pose. People don't notice that. So my daughter came one time. She had a play at school. And she said she was very upset that she forgot few of her words and some of her friends forgot few of the words. And then she was shocked that she got the highest grade, the class got the highest grade in their play. Simply because the ones who were watching didn't know the words that were missed. And at one point, they stopped because they lost track of who was. The audience saw it as a dramatic pose. They're looking at each other. But in fact, they're thinking, who's next? Yes, I mean. So what you forget is that the audience doesn't know which points you're going to stop to pose, and they don't know what you were supposed to say, but you forgot to say. So don't make it too much of a big deal. Just move on in your presentation. If you forget something, it's gone, move on. 9 out of 10 times, it won't make a difference at all to the presentation. And this is something also to remember. Use visual aids, PowerPoint, models, whiteboard, laser pen like I'm doing here to guide your presentation. And guys, I know many of you, it's your first time. So the tutors are going to be very generous with the grade regardless. And they're only there to guide you to do better presentations. All right? Good luck. All right, we're done. get ready for the next session. Don't tell them about the last part.